It's all good. Welcome everybody. I'm delighted to see so many of you along today and to be running this in partnership with our comms team, which is wonderful. I'll let Jen introduce herself in a minute. Jen, do you need me to run the slides? Are you okay?
I should be okay. I've got a separate screen. I should be okay.
Fabby. Any problems, just give me a shout out. I've got them open as well. So basically this session we had lots of people always ask about social media and what should we be doing. So I thought, well, let's go to the experts and speak to our communications team to see what their advice would be to schools. And I know many of you have had contact with Jen and the comms team in the past, and we thought this was just a good opportunity to pull everything together. So I'm not going to talk for any longer, but I'll monitor the chat and I'll just shout out if anything comes in. Is that okay, Jen? You
Yeah, that'd
decide
be
how
great.
you want to do it. Fab.
That'd
All
be
right,
great.
right. Passing over to you then.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if all of you have met me or not. I've met quite a few of you over the time doing this role. I'm a senior communications officer. I work in the corporate communications team with a focus on education, children's social work, employability, and various other kind of like people-led things. So that's kind of what I do. And I work using a variety of channels. So we use social media quite heavily, but we also do the traditional media, and we've got the website stuff that we support and internal comms. So there's quite a lot of different things that go on within our team. So I will start sharing this slideshow, test my abilities to see if I can get this to all go fine. Oh, wait.
Yep, we can see that now.
Okay, cool. So this is just kind of a chat about Blue Sky, but also just about communicating in a post-pandemic world generally. Um, there's a lot of channels these days, and more there's a lot of different social platforms, and they all attract very different audiences as well. So it kind of can feel sometimes a bit overwhelming with all the different kind of choice that there is out there, but also what are the right ones to be on and what you're trying to achieve. So there's lots of differences that have happened just purely because social media and all that has been developing over numerous years, but the pandemic has changed how people actually interact generally with social media as well. So there's basically become quite a crowded landscape online on social channels, and also just the way that people actually consume media has drastically changed. Local papers were seeing a much more reduced uh, numbers of people buying their printed editions, but now very much they've shifted to being digital first focus as well. So you can see that everyone's moving towards the digital platforms. As a school and an ELCC, you would have a trusted voice in the community, which is important for you to have to be on social as well, to be that voice that they see. But how you choose to do that depends on what your school and nursery needs. Um, so basically, what does having all of that stuff happening at the same time mean for us? So it basically means that we need to have a really good understanding of who our audiences are on our channels and what particular ones are there. So for us in the council, we did a big audit of all of our social channels and found that our Facebook was families, parents, communities, but when it was Twitter, it was more media and stakeholders. Instagram was very much young, slightly younger audience, but they also were very much heavily driven around um, place and things like that. So there was lots of different things that were happening. And actually, our YouTube has been quite interesting because we found that that's where we're getting a younger audience watching things that are going on. So it's about understanding where your audiences are and being clear on the purpose of communicating why you're wanting to tell people about this thing and who is that audience, and then that can then decide where you're going to put it. And there's also, as I say, looking at data. So we'll get on to data in terms of Blue Sky, but we've been doing a lot of monitoring what our performance is on social, and that's therefore then being able to help us reach wider audiences than we would have if we just continued doing what we were doing in the past. And there is also some ongoing school pilots around new approaches as well that I'll tell you about later. So the challenges for schools are there's lots of channels. Social media keeps changing and it keeps changing. The algorithms keep changing in terms of how best to get content out there as well. But in terms of from our experience, if you were on Facebook, then that tends to be our parent and community channels. We think that's where you would probably find parents and community as well. And Blue Sky, it's primarily tends to be stakeholders, influencers, media, and journalists that we interact with there. There is some other people who are on there, but they're not our main audience over there. And social media obviously is one option of many that you as schools and us as a council have when it comes to communicating with people. We obviously have things like email and like there's could be weekly or monthly newsletters that you do. You've got your websites, you've got apps, and you've got text messages, although text messages obviously come with a cost. In terms of audiences, it's just knowing about what your audience is. Who are they and what are they engaging with? So you can start to build up a picture of what they're by looking at what they're engaging with, as to who they are. And Jill, my colleague, she's off sick at the moment, but she'll be able to give you a lot more information around that data. So if you do want to ask Jill about that, then I highly recommend doing that. But for us, we've got a couple of options around parents and carers. Facebook groups, that means you can keep it private. You don't need to, it means you can share a lot of different information that you might not want to have publicly there, but are essential bits of information. Obviously, you wouldn't be sharing anything that you wouldn't like want to say in a public platform anywhere, but you can share information that isn't really actually relevant to the wider public. WhatsApp is something that I think will be really successful. We need to catch up with Greif, who are piloting it for us. But that is a way of getting that information out on a platform that a lot of people already have. And then for Blue Sky, obviously, I mentioned who that is. So what is Blue Sky? If you haven't already been on it, it's very similar in functionality. We call it old Twitter in a way because a lot of the functionality that it's building is kind of building from a base block of what old Twitter was like. But it's very similar in functionality to what X is. And the reason why it's like that is because it's the former Twitter CEO who's building it. It's grown in popularity. It's got 39 million accounts on it worldwide at present. It's not growing like it'll take a long time for it to grow as massively to the numbers that X has at the moment, and people do still use X on there. It's just that there was some other issues around algorithms and the content that was on there that we took a decision to come off of there. But there is people on there, so you can find them, but not everybody is on there yet. The purpose of Blue Sky is for us is very much the same as how we were using Twitter or X. It's very much a news focused channel, and it's about getting that positive sentiment out there. So for you guys, it'd be a bit of positive sentiment towards your school, telling your good news stories, all of that going out there, and also linking in with your education professionals and stakeholders as well. We take a less is more approach, as you don't need to have everything going out on there, but you can, which hopefully makes it a bit easier in some cases, that it's less work for you to pull everything together. But it's about focusing on the right things to go out on your channels. So yeah, just your putting out your good work would be fantastic to see it out on your channels. If you haven't already, for setting up your profile, it's about having a clear official handle. You can actually map your domains, such as your school website, to your account. We've done that as the council, so ours is at remshire.gov.uk as an official handle on Blue Sky. And obviously you would include your school name and location if it's helpful, such as if there's schools with several names across the country. A profile pic, have all your contact details, and just mention that it's an official account for the school, because there are sometimes some people do make fake accounts as well, so it's always helpful to have that there. That just happens on every chat platform that there is. And also we do recommend linking to our social media house rules. So this has got a list of things that we will and will not tolerate on our social channels. That can be helpful if you end up having to look at banning somebody from your account and various things like that. But get in touch with us if you ever experienced anything like that. But it can just be helpful to set out the parameters of what's the expected behaviour when interacting with your account. For us, we do not have the capacity to monitor messages on these social accounts. So we clearly state that they're not monitored. It would be up to you whether your school has the capacity to do that or not, but a lot of places do not have the capacity, so that's okay. Just need to state it. And also just think about an image to go with your account that really just sums up what your school is about. Types of content, I kind of mentioned some of that before, but very much would say it being the things that you would see in a local paper about your school, things that you want to see about about your school in a local paper. So good news stories, the awards, achievements, all these recognitions. If you've got pupils taking part in national competitions, all of that kind of stuff. Any your school events, end of term shows, various other things like that are always really good content to put out there. Your involvement with the community, and also important notices can go out there, but keep them to kind of essential kind of stuff going out there. There would be other places that we would recommend speaking to your audience, such as in a Facebook group if you were putting out some regular information that people need to know about. And also think about when your audience is online. So when are your parents online looking at content? The problem with Blue Sky at the moment is that unless you're paying for a third party system, you can't actually schedule any content. So you just need to put it out there and then. But thinking about when the audience are, if you were posting at the end of the school day, that would be fine because they're more likely to be on there, or you could post at lunchtime. We find a lot of people are still online at these break times, but most of the audience we find tends to be in the evening. Don't drop all your content at once, spread it out. Think about what your content is. So don't save all your content up for a Friday afternoon, for instance. But also sometimes you have content that's been captured that week, but actually you could save it and put it out the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following weeks. Not all content is urgently time sensitive that needs to go out there and then, but there is some things that obviously are, if they're date driven. If they're about you have to apply for something by a certain date and things like that, they are all date driven. So keep it professional, informative, and always make sure to include images and videos in all of your social content, because it really does help with engagement. Monitor data, that's a key thing to do. You're very limited in data analysis for Blue Sky at the moment. You can look at the visible engagements and see what is happening there, and that'll give you some data in terms of people actually engaging with your content and did they like it or not. You're obviously far more likely to get likes than you are retweets and comments. That's just the way things are. But you're not getting views at the moment, so you can't tell how many people actually looked at this various posts. Hopefully that will come at some point in time soon. Talking about other social channels, because obviously Blue Sky is only one channel out there. There is a social media pilot with Greif, and that's about using WhatsApp as more in that kind of broadcast platform to parents and carers. And that just means you get the information out there. People can't actually reply, but the only thing they can do is react with an emoji. And Facebook groups as well, which Mossvale and Wallace primaries are piloting for us. and they're only open to parents and carers with pupils at the school. So other people who are like grannies or aren't necessarily able to get in, they can't see what's going on in there, and other people in the wider school community, they can't see what's going on in there. So it depends what your purpose is for using it, but it can be a very useful tool. And yeah, we're hoping to finish those pilots and then talk to you a wee bit more about them afterwards. And oh, if I could just click the right thing, that might help. Nope, there we go. And other communications channels.
Before you move on, can I just ask a quick question? As it occurred to me with the previous slide, could you maybe go back? I know we've talked about the the what they're doing in terms of the WhatsApp and the Facebook groups. Is there a timeline? They're obviously pilots. Is there a timeline on when they'll finish?
I don't have that information. That's Jill that's been running that. So if Jill had been here, she'd be able to give you a little bit more information on that.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, hopefully soon, because they started in about January, February time.
Yeah.
So we were anticipating it being 6 months, and then we could do it. So I would hope soon, but I just don't know where they're at with that, unfortunately.
No, that's great. And I was just because I just thought it was an important point to make that, whilst we're talking tonight, it's really good to highlight these different pilots that are happening so that people can reach out to those schools and say, what have you found as we're listening to all this? So sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Carry on.
It's okay. I was like, I know if anybody asked me this question, unfortunately, I don't know the answer, but well, I can tell you from what my experience from the council, we've got a Facebook channel, not a Facebook, a WhatsApp channel now, and it has been really good actually for us, and has been growing. Obviously with us, ours will continue to grow. Schools will have a limited number, obviously you'll reach a cap, but it has been really good.
Thank you.
Other communications channels. So obviously there's lots of different ways, and one of the ways that we're wanting to grow as a council in terms of the corporate communications is around email and our email newsletters that we have going out there. But email is actually a very valuable tool because it's not subject to the same algorithms that social platforms have. But obviously there can be people can receive too many emails as well, sort of thing. So it's about getting that right balance, and that's what we try and do as much as we can to make sure that the information is actually being read by people. So, for instance, we've got a fortnightly council news update and a monthly schools and nurseries news. That's two of the newsletters that we have. There's obviously apps. I don't know an awful lot about your school apps, but I know that you have them. And that can be a very useful way of reaching parents as well. So there's lots of channels that you can decide. And I know when we were speaking to Greif, they had a big plan about these channels were going to be used for this type of purpose and these other channels were going to be used for other purposes. So it's just about being clear about with yourself about how you want to use things and how you want to get things across. And Jill is also looking at refreshed guidance for schools. I don't know unfortunately when that's coming, but I know that she was looking at that and hopefully will come to you with that shortly. And next steps for you guys. Obviously Blue Sky is a growing platform, but it takes time to grow both your own audiences and for it to grow its audience as well. So it's up to you guys to decide how much time and effort you are putting into that one, or if you want to explore other ones. It really depends on who your audience is. There isn't a one platform suits all audience option out there. That's a kind of the way social platforms have developed themselves. It's just not really a thing anymore. But do come and speak to me and Jill for advice. There's obviously some things that Jill is very good at, all the data and all that kind of stuff, so she'll be able to help better with that. But there's stuff that both of us can help with. I should have put our contact details on that. I didn't. I'll get Pam to circulate that later. But over to you guys about any questions around that. It can be about Blue Sky, Facebook, WhatsApp, whatever you want to ask about.
I was just going to pop in, Pam, just to say that we have access to group call messenger in all of our schools. So, Jen, you were mentioning about email. Schools have access to this tool already, so you can send emails directly to parents via that, or they've got the Expressions app, which is a mobile phone app through Group Call. So it's another way just to get in touch with parents as a way of pushing information, either if it's a post that you want them to be aware of, you could always add that into your content through there, and that tool's available. If anyone has any questions about that, you can contact csbit@renfrewshire.gov.uk and we can help you with any of the issues you've got around that. You should all be set up, but if there's anyone that's not, just get in touch.
Thanks, Ross. And I've just popped in the thing link. We're in the process of updating our thing link around group call. But what Ross has done is he's tried to pull together, at the moment, you'll see the pulsing. If you look at that thing link, you'll see the pulsing bit. So he's pulled together some videos just to give you information about different things that are available in group call. But we're updating that guidance, so you will get an updated one when that comes out. But thanks, Ross. I just wanted to mention that when Jen spoke about that. Right, I'm going to open it up to you guys now, because I don't want it to be about me talking, but yeah, absolutely. I'll get a copy of the slides sent out with the evaluation when we send that out. That's not a problem. But yeah, if you want to just pop your hands up, or just turn your cameras on and your mics on, and just please call out and ask us anything, and we'll do your very best to either answer it live, and if we don't know the answer, we'll go away and find out. So yeah, over to you guys. Hazel. Go for it.
Hi,
Hazel.
thank you. No, that's fine. Thank you. Just very quickly, so this wasn't actually in Renfrewshire. This was in my previous authority, when we used Twitter to communicate with parents. So even though it was private and we monitored who we had, we worked on the basis that we never shared second names. So we could do first names. So I just wanted to check if it was still okay to use the first names of children to share news, but we obviously wouldn't use surnames, but still okay to use first names to say X and Y had fun doing this or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, as long as there's permissions from the parents that they're allowed, there's not any, they're not care experience or anything like that, then yeah, that would be fine. Obviously, we'll, if there's no need to mention their name, then you don't need to. But if it's an image that's just of two specific children who are doing something, then yeah, that would be fine. Just to put their names with it, that wouldn't be a problem.
Great, thank you.
No worries. Anybody else? I don't know if that was you. Got another question, Hazel, or was that you accidentally putting your hand back
sorry,
up?
that was a mistake. Sorry, that's it off.
No worries. Fab. Any other questions? Oh, come on, there must be some. You're a very quiet bunch. You're letting Jen off easily here.
Definitely. I mean, I think that a question for me, not to myself obviously, but just generally, is how are people using social just now? Is it more Facebook? Is it email? Are you using the apps instead? Are you using Blue Sky? What should the kind of vibe out there if MD wants to put their hand up to that?
And I think that's a question that people, I've had a few people approach me and say, we've just started with Blue Sky because we've come away from Twitter for all the reasons that you've mentioned, and but I'm not really sure how to, my parents aren't on it, so what is that the best channel? So yeah, if anybody would like to chip in, I see we've got a question there, just around how do you build the followers as well, which is another question, I suppose.
Yeah, I think you can use your other channels to make people aware that it's there, first of all. So if you have a weekly newsletter or something going out, then you can make them aware there. You can pop it on your website. You can start letting people know. And the other way would be just to continually use it. What if people can see that an account is being used, then they're more likely to follow it than if they think it's just been abandoned. So it's, you don't need to be like posting every 2 seconds sort of thing, but you can like start to make sure that there's always content there, and it goes out fairly regularly, that people will start to see this is what this account is about, and provide this stuff on this kind of regular time frame. But yeah, using your other channels is the best way to make sure that people know that it's there. So when we moved over to Blue Sky, we made a lot of people aware through emailing them directly, putting stuff out there. I mean, obviously the press picked it up because it was of note based on what it was about as well. But that did also generate people following us because they saw it on those other
On
platforms
those
out
other
there.
platforms, yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's where, your group call comes in, because you can then contact all the parents directly to say, listen, we've moved to Blue Sky, this is what we're doing, please follow this channel. But you could also use that if you decide that, a closed Facebook group is what you're best. So you've got other ways of getting that information to them. Another couple of questions, Jen. I think I can answer that one. No, you're not okay to take pictures of pupils on your personal phones, even if they're deleted. You shouldn't be doing that. That's a definite no. Because once it's deleted, it's still there. You can, recover deleted photos. So yeah, no, absolutely not. That's where your your iPads and your Chromebooks that can take photos, that's where they come into play, because they're school devices and they're safe and secure. Jen, did you have anything to say on that question?
No, that's yeah. But take stuff on the work devices that are provided, or the school devices that are provided for you. Yeah.
Fab. And then we had guidance previously for X/Twitter. No kids holding their certificates with both names shown. No, absolutely. Yeah, no. Even when you've got permissions, that's just good practice. Yeah, first names only, as was mentioned. Fab. Yep.
Yeah,
Great.
and no badges with names and stuff like that as well. That's always problematic too.
Yeah.
If it's always better as well to not have any of that stuff visible. You can have it in the text, but it's better if it's not on the picture where possible.
Yeah, absolutely good advice. Okay. Any other questions? No other hands going up?
No?
I know you've all just got an eye on the clock. I use the school email and phone number for my Blue.
So yeah, in an ideal world, it's better to have it not be an email address that's accessible to a whole big bunch of people, if you know what I mean, because the school inquiries email is open to a lot of people to access it. But sometimes that's done with a good reason, because maybe there is quite a few people who do access it who are part of the school office and things like that, maybe post things out, or maybe they're just like everyone in the school is kind of got access to it. But it's not recommended, obviously, because then anyone who has access to that school email address can then obviously access the Blue Sky as well. So it isn't ideal, but we understand why people use it, and if that's what suits your school, then that's what suits it.
And I guess that it depends on your size of school as well. I've had people say to me in the past, when they were on old Twitter, they had like a primary 6 account, they had a maths department account and things like that. So I think we would probably recommend that route, Jen, then that way you're not having that sharing of that email account.
Yeah, the more accounts you have, the more you're diluting your audience, and it's the more resources it's actually taking, because you're running multiple accounts rather than one. So you do need to consider, is that something that you want to do, and what is the value? It is easier, obviously, for everyone who's within a department to run it, but is it the best thing for the audience? You need to have a look at the stats and see what they say.
Yeah,
and
that's
have a
really
think about it.
helpful. Yeah, absolutely. Because, I think when you're mentioning all the other ways in which you can communicate and all those other channels that exist, because that's what you did in the past. You've said that before, just because that's what you did in the past, it doesn't make it the right thing to do now. So, yeah, have a really good think about that. I like that. Yeah.
It's also
Okay.
just that the platforms keep themselves changing. So a lot of these school accounts would have been set up many, many, many years ago on Twitter, and what worked back then isn't necessarily how people and the algorithms and the platforms themselves work now. So it's just about thinking about, okay, what is the the new way of doing this, because things have changed since the pandemic. So it is a good opportunity to take that step back and go, okay, what do I want and what do I need, and what's our audience actually engaging with?
Yeah, and a great opportunity as well to bring your parents into that discussion, when you're possibly having, I don't know, parents' nights, or you're doing information sessions in the school. That's a good opportunity to say to them, what is it that you're looking for? What are the different things that interest you? So you've got as Jen rightly said, that you need to know this information, and what is the best way for that information to come to you. Here's the kind of, as you said, the pictures of the kids, etc., doing particular activities. So what's the best channel for that? And asking their opinion, and obviously asking the kids as well, because they'll have strong opinions about it, and particularly in the secondary sector, where your kids are plus 16, plus 13. You have to think about what's working for them, and is it the kids that your audience, or is it the parents that your audience? So being very clear about that, because some of the things that you're putting out the audience will be different.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Miss Gillespie, sorry, apologies, I don't know your first name, has come back and just said that the issue is around not having access to the school
Yeah.
email account. So that would be an issue. If you're trying to get in and it's asking for verification and stuff, then that would cause a bit of an issue around
Yeah.
that. I mean, you can talk to us about it, and we can see how we can suggest alternatives around it if you want to.
Yeah, and what would be best for you in your context? What would work best? Because it may be that Blue Sky is not the right thing for you anymore, and it's something else. So we can think about that. Fab. And you've
No, it's
verified it.
verified. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
good. That's good. Excellent. Via the school office, right? Of course. Great. Okay. No one else got any questions? As I say, you will get a copy of Jen's slides, and then don't worry, I'll put your contact details in there for for you and Jill. I'll put that in there.
Thank you.
But what we've also done is we've got a form, just to kind of capture, and at the end of the form, it asks, is there anything else you would like to know? So we will get that out to you. And yes, there will be a recording, and I will have to play about with it because we had started it. It starts as soon as the recording starts. So as soon as the meeting starts, it starts recording. So I'll need to chop out the bit at the beginning, but don't worry. So yeah, I'll get that out to everybody. But I'm just going to stick in the chat now the link and the QR code for the evaluation. As I say all the time, this is really important. This is the first time we've done a session with our communications team, so they're really keen to know what people are looking for and what our thoughts are. So please, I really, please fill out the evaluation, because that's how we know what people want and how we can make sure that we're getting it right for you guys, because we appreciate how busy everybody is at the end of a school day. So yeah, if you could fill it out, that would be fab. I'm going to hang on the call for a little bit. So once you've done the evaluation, you're free to drop off the call. But if you have anything that you think, I just want to ask directly, happy to hang on. Jen, are you okay to hang on for 5 minutes as well?
Yeah, Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Big thanks to Jen for that presentation. Really, really helpful. And hopefully it's certainly got me thinking about all the different channels and the ways to do it and how we can change things. So yeah, great. Thanks, everybody. I'm just going to stop the recording.